Welcome to the second podcast of Offline Broadway. We are still here, still going, and we got another very special guest. He is the creator of Theatreisdead, the very awesome Facebook page. It is Charlie Munn. How you doing, man?
Doing really well. Thanks for having me on episode 2. I'm really stoked and honored to be a guest on the show. This is my first technical podcast guest. This is my first podcast, so it's a huge honor to kind of do it, to do this one with you.
Really happy to have you on, and as a second guest, very, very happy. Like the first one, you told me that you listened to. I listened back to it. I really enjoyed talking with Amber, but listening to myself, I said like so many times. So for those listening, I'm gonna really cut back on trying to say.
I think you're gonna figure out some habits. It's a crazy thing when you start to watch yourself on video, when you start to watch yourself on or listen to yourself through audio. It gets pretty weird.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just listening back to it is like, like I was just counting. Just stop listening, just upload it, and just deal and just work on it.
Yeah, I mean it's. And I'll talk about this a little bit more, but when you're in the game of kind of creating content or creating like media for the internet, it's a volume game. Like you just want to produce as much as you can and not get stuck in making things perfect, because that's when you stop. And so maybe I'll introduce myself a little bit.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. So my first question is, who are you, and what inspired you to start Theatreisdead, or just inspired you to be involved in theatre?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Charlie. I started Theatreisdead in November of 2017. I've been involved in theatre my entire life, just about. I was a really kind of cripplingly shy kid. I just hated being in front of people. I hated any form of attention, and then theater was the place where I kind of found a sense of confidence. It's where I was taught that I was good at things, that you didn't have to be book smart, you didn't have to be good at arithmetic, like you could just be good with people, and there was a place where that was actually welcomed and celebrated. And so theater would eventually give me that confidence. Skip 2, I'm originally from Wales. I moved to, it's a true story.
Same here. I'm in Wales, so
I know that's
when you told me this last year. It was like, oh my god, no way, because
yeah, I'm from Penarth originally, so
I love Penarth, because me and Charlie, we kind of like started messaging each other this time last year, I'd say, because
just about
both of our Facebook pages are theatre based, and we were just chatting, and then he asked me where I am, and I said, oh, I'm in Cardiff, and he's like, no way, I'm from Penarth, and it was like, what are the odds of that? I mean, 2 theatre pages. You're in New York now, which is my dream place to live. So, but
as it is, I'm sure for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For a lot of people interested,
it's the American dream.
Yeah. And on that note, like my family, around when I was 8, I have 4 brothers. My entire family moved to a place called Celebration, Florida, in pursuit of like the American dream, in pursuit of a life with more opportunity. And so I went to high school there and fell in love. Florida State has an amazing theater program, like internally set up within the schools. And so I very much became in that world and a part of that world. And then once I graduated high school, and hopefully I would like to maybe later get into high school and how terrible of a student I was. But eventually after high school, I found myself auditioning for Juilliard, did not get in, which, was its own unique heartbreak. And then after that, but like I fell in love with the idea of getting to New York. I was like, this is for me. I want to hustle here. And so I got there and eventually went to another school that I fell in love with. And then after kind of 4 years in school, I learned so much about acting in the business world and realized what I didn't like about it all. And so right after college, I got a job as the social media associate for a company called Marathon Digital. And at the time, it was me and my boss at the time, Mike, and we were running the social media for Hamilton, The Great Comet, and Disaster the Musical at the time. And I was there for about 3 months before I was fired, for reasons we can talk about. And and in that, I was seeing the power of social media. I was seeing just what was happening at scale when people were online. And I was just like, oh my God, like this is real. Like people are seeking a community. People want to talk about theater online. And I think I can be a voice in that. I think I can create an online community where people can talk and celebrate theater. And so from that, I kind of created Theatreisdead, and I've been running that for the past year and a half, almost, yeah, about a year and a half now. And yeah, that brings me to pretty much now where I'm kind of consistently making content every single day.
Well, I think that's really interesting because we have like similar backgrounds in terms of like being a very shy kid in like early years, and then discovering a certain passion, and then that what kind of drives you. But one question before we get into all that, I know the answer because I watched one of your live streams a while back. But why is your page called Theatreisdead?
Yeah, that's.
Also, I have to say, I am glad it is spelled R-E, not E-R.
Yeah, that was a conscious choice. That was definitely a conscious choice. It's called that because, one, I liked how provocative it sounded. You know, like in my mind, people hear that and they're like almost frustrated at that.
Yeah.
And that's purposeful because I kind of want people to remember that theater is a live act, and theater is in fact not dead. It's very much alive, but it needs attention to do so. And also it's kind of this play that the moment you record theater, the moment you digitize it, it no longer becomes what it essentially is. And so it's a kind of joke on that. Like it's definitely like a snort. And plus, like, it appeals to this like inner emo kid that I have within me. And that's like, you know, like rock and roll, like you don't get me.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
And plus, and it's interesting how it's you know, I'm working on like the overall branding of the channel. It's very much now like kind of turned into this like grunge, you know, almost it's been a style guide for me.
Yeah, I've seen like a bit like a pixelated clips and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. I do like the style of it because I found it quite tough, like trying to find the image for a geek chat in that sense. So first, because I first started a geek chat, it was on YouTube like 4 years ago, and it was mostly like superhero comic book, Game of Thrones based. Because that's what I look. Because I liked theatre before that, but I never loved it. And then I posted like a single Hamilton clip, and then that kind of got very popular. So then I kind of okay, I like theatre. Let's move to theatre because there are so many like superhero Marvel pages out there because it's huge. I think theatre online is now slowly becoming bigger and bigger, and it's a really nice community too.
Yeah, no, definitely,
Instagram and
definitely
Facebook.
is.
But
yeah, no, I'm.
Yeah, so you mentioned about working for Hamilton, the Great Comet, and what was the other one?
Disaster the musical.
Which
was like a musical that ran on Broadway. I think it was by the end it was like 3 months. It was a musical by Seth Rudetsky, and it's like this kind of gauche like play on an 80s disaster film where like everything goes wrong and we should sing about it and the ship's sinking and you know we'll sing our way out.
I've never heard of that one. I've heard of the Great Comet. The music in that is just beautiful, but you could have guessed my favorite musical is Hamilton.
Mine
saw,
too, for sure.
Yeah, I saw in one of your live streams like last year, you told a story about how you met or saw Lin-Manuel Miranda. Oh God.
Yeah. Honestly,
the divine one.
That was like, it's like something I really hold quite dear to me. You know, it's just obviously just a cherished memory. So we were recording one of the Ham for Hams that they were doing around that time. And they were doing a School of Rock one, and like we had just kind of finished wrapping up, and like we were shooting the thing, and so we were just like in the room with him, and I was just like being very, I was there on behalf of Mike, the guy who like put me on, the boss who gave me the position, and so I was like I was his assistant, and I didn't want to step out of bounds of that. And so, you know, we're all just like walking, and eventually, like, you know, it's 6:45, and the dude's got to like, so we're on 40th Street, and we're like 2 blocks away from the Richard Rogers, and it's like 6:30, and Lynn's just like, all right, I gotta go. And like it up, like in my head, I'm like, where's he going? I'm like, oh, the show
Yeah.
he made that's down the street.
Yeah.
And so we left
little
with
off-Broadway
him.
show. Little indie music.
Yeah, the little quiet.
Off Broadway.
It's a sleeper. Might close. And we're just walking down the street. I remember so vividly, Mike, my boss, was just in front of me, and they were like chatting about work, because like Mike was so in depth with creating a lot of the things that became popular with that show in terms of social. And I was just like behind him, just being like, oh my God, like, I can't believe, like, and I was just like very quiet, and I was just happy to be in the room, you know, and truly, like, I felt like in the room where it happens. I was like, I'm just happy to be here. Like, Aaron Burr was ready to kill to get into that room. I was like, I'm so thankful I'm just here. And then Mike was kind enough to be like, oh, by the way, Lynn, like, this is Charlie. He's my new associate. He works with me. And Lynn, you know, turns around, just like, hey, like, nice to meet you. It's like, Lynn. I'm like, nice to meet you. You know, I'm just like,
I would not know
like,
what to say.
And I was just like, it's great to meet you. You know, and then he goes, you know, and just like, it literally makes a right towards the Richard Rogers. He was wearing a Kermit the Frog hat. And he looked, in fairness, what I do remember, how tired he looked. Like, and I mean that respectfully, and I mean that with love. Like, the dude was working. I'm gonna just keep making puns, like, nonstop. Like, he really wouldn't, and like gave his energy to each moment that he was in. And I was just blessed to, honestly, it felt like I was meeting Shakespeare. Truly,
yeah,
that's what the moment felt like.
A lot of people do. A lot of people are calling him the modern day Shakespeare, which, you know, I do agree with, to be honest. He obviously says, no, I'm not. Like, in interviews, he says, I'm not. He's so modest, you know. If anyone said, oh, yeah, I am,
that.
Yeah. No,
you're like, you know what? You're right. I am.
Yeah, I am. You're right, yeah. I'll put that on my bio.
We'll see. Honestly, it's going to be beautiful. When we watch, I think the man's career will be what really shows that. And whatever piece he makes next, whatever thing he does, you know, like, and in terms of creating, that's why creating online content really excites me, is that, like, it's a shame Lynn doesn't blog, you know, like, I know where we would have been in the room of Lynn writing that show. And like, obviously everyone has their own creative process. You have to trust yours, but like, what we would kill for Shakespeare's Diaries, like what we would kill for Lin-Manuel Miranda's vlogs, you know? And so much of what I'm doing, I think, with Theatreisdead is kind of in that pursuit and that difficulty of trying to, like, just, you know, I'm a theater maker. Like, I produce theater. I'm trying to hustle in New York. Like, there might be some value with chasing my dreams and ambitions by documenting it online. And so that's definitely, I think about that a lot.
Well, I think that's, you know, because you said, was it a trust your process? Because I've seen that.
Huge believer.
I've seen that phrase on a lot of your posts, and I think for anyone who wants to write theatre or perform on stage, backstage or on stage, it's very important, I think, phrase to keep hold onto.
100%. I thank you for bringing that up. Like, it's definitely, as I kind of go forward, Theatreisdead, and because I did just start producing a vlog or producing videos on YouTube, I'm trying to think, like, well, what do I really want to say? Like, what do I really want to do? And like, you know, if 100 people want to take the time out of their day to view a video I made, like, what do I want to tell these people? Like, I want to help them. And for me, if they're creatively driven people, and even if the theater's not something that they're going to pursue, but it's something that they love, like, and trust your process has definitely become something that I've learned through teachers and through artists, through friends that are artists. Like, you will never be happy if you're thinking about, if you're comparing what you're doing or the work that you're making to other people. You have to trust that the process of you doing it, that, like, you're not going to make Hamilton. Like, Lin-Manuel did not think that he was going to write what Hamilton would become to be.
No.
He trusted his process and wrote every day until the story appeared. Like you know, like you just have to make 1,000 pots and learn how to make the pot well before, you know, you're not going to make the one perfect pot. You have to make 1,000 of them. And so,
Definitely.
and fall in love with the process of shaping it. And, you know, hopefully over the next like 5-10 years, the people who choose to follow me on Theater is Dead will kind of be a part of that. Like my real true hope for Theater is Dead is that like one day I'll take the Tony and it'll be built on the back. I'll be able to like look into the, you know, it'll be built on the Theater is Dead audience. And I say that hopefully with love and generosity. Like it'll be made and only possible because of the people that I worked with and the people that who kind of committed their time and energy to to Theater is Dead. Because I just think that's how it's going to happen in my head.
I think that's very motivational. I think you should do like motivational speaking, because I think the way that you describe how to create something, you will fail, you will fall at some point, but it's all about trying again and keep on trying. If you want it, you will definitely get it. And I think that's a big inspiration. You said about taking the Tony. Are you what aspect of Broadway are you keen? Is it a producing, writing, starring, or aren't you sure yet?
It'll be, I don't know.
Exactly. Well,
I don't know.
That's all right. See, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's 100%. I'm just trying to live my thesis. Like, you know what? I think, you know, all I want is it to feel. In high school, I did a play called Almost Maine, and it's a really popular play here in the States. Like the really popular play that kids do in high school. It's just really short. It's like 6 scenes. It takes place in Almost Maine, which is a made-up town in northern Maine here in the States. And it's essentially just 6 or 7 vignettes of like people falling in and out of love. And in that, when I did that play, we took it to a theater competition, the Florida State Thespians that I mentioned earlier in high school. And it was the first time, and at that point I'd performed a bunch of times, like for high school audiences, for kind of like friends and family, for community productions, and but there we took it to like the 1-act competition, and taking a play to 1-acts was like it was, you know, it's like that Glee vibe. It's like everyone's there to compete with each other to like get to number one. And dude, like being at that point, I must have been 17, I think, very much like in the bubble of like what my theater department was. And it was my first time going to 1-act. And so like suddenly to go from the bubble of like kind of my small town where nobody except from the theater kids cared about theater, or like, and even the audiences are only there because their kids are in it. You know, there's no sense of like, probably because it was questionable content, you know, like I don't want to see those tapes of me acting. So it was my first time.
No one would though.
Yeah,
no one would.
It was but now I do. Like now I'd love to vlog that. But performing at 1X, I just remember there at the end of that play, there is a scene in which like I'm listening to, and it's like very romantic comedy music, and I'm listening for my sound cues through the speakers, because it's like, you know, I get up, I think the girl's not coming back, and I'm about to walk off stage. Then I hear the sound cue and I turn around, the girl's on the other side of the stage, and then like the sound cue hits right at a climactic moment, and then they like go and embrace and they hug, and it's like they're gonna be together for the rest of their lives. And in that moment, like I go walk off stage, and like I'm hearing the audience react, but I'm not really like hearing much because you know, just trying to be present. And then all of a sudden I just can't hear the music because the girl has walked on stage, and the audience now realizes that like, oh, she came back, like they're gonna be together. And they just start howling, like they just start screaming and like shouting and just celebrating. They're like in the play with us. And these are kids in theory we're competing with, right? Like for the 1-act prize. But in that moment, like everyone was just so stoked about the play, like hollering, and I can't hear my sound cue at that point. And so I'm just like, fuck it. and we just run into each other's arm that was charged by like the energy of the room. And in that moment, like, and I think back to it so hard, like in that moment, it was my first time performing for people who wanted to see it, you know, like people who were there because they were in love with the piece, they were in love with the project. So to bring it back to like producing on Broadway and that ambition, I want it to be that. I just want it to be a project that in my core, and this is just for me, like in my heart of hearts, I'm like, oh, this is a badass piece. Like, and this piece is entirely mine. Like, I don't necessarily care if like the world cares about it. It's just got to feel like mine in the way that Almost Maine did, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you mentioned like not wanting to see yourself on tape, on tape, like previous performances. Like, I've loved theatre ever since I was really, really young, but I think it was kind of boosted to like a massive passion when I first listened to Hamilton like 2 years back. But back in school in my young years, we did The Sound of Music, and I was Captain Von Trapp, and I was such a shy kid, but you know, I did audition, and then I got the role. So then, but it
crushed it. You booked it.
Yeah, like it was. They did film it, but I I haven't seen it since, and I wouldn't want to really right now. But because I think when I was younger, I wanted to be on stage or on the screen, and now I want to work in theatre. But now I'm more like backstage. I want to write music, compose music. I want to create something, but it's all about trusting your process, like you said. And, you know, I've been composing since I was, 14, 15, and I've written some decent stuff, and I've written mostly terrible pieces, which I haven't listened to since they were made. But I think it's all about trial and error, and then you will get it if you want it. So with your Facebook page, you're also on Instagram too, and
it's true.
Twitter. You've also recently started on YouTube as well. You're YouTube famous.
Yeah. I would say so. I would personally say so. Nobody else would.
I'm quoting a lot of your Instagram stories because I find them so entertaining. Like, guys, honestly, just right, because we normally do this up like thing at the end, but just follow Theatreisdead literally on Instagram or Facebook. Charlie's stories are so entertaining. Like, he was saying how he's YouTube famous, and when you end it, I'm YouTube famous, I died. I honestly, I legit died.
Thanks, man. I honestly, it really does mean the world. Like, like especially to go. I mean, you know this. Like, to go from, I think we're at 1,700 followers now on Instagram, and to go from like 0 to that is the fucking game. Like, that means the world to me. That there's that amount of people willing to watch, like willing to listen, willing to laugh, like willing to offer their time, and so it just means the world that you said
definitely, because I found that Instagram, it's a lot harder to get followers on that than Facebook. I think Facebook, there's a lot more sharing and, you know, more like roads to access more different pages. So I find Instagram very difficult. I mean, on Geekchat, we have 31,000 followers, and on Instagram, 212, something like that. So there's a massive leap, and I'm always like making different. I said then I'm gonna try try and stop. But there's always, I'm trying to reference both different pages, but it is difficult to actually get someone to physically go onto a different platform. And follow that. How do you find balancing different platforms, and do you post the same content or different content on different platforms?
So, no, it's definitely difficult. In my experience, I found the Theatreisdead Instagram community, or the drama club that I've been trying to call everyone, but it's just me right now. I'm
part of it.
I appreciate that. So now there's 2 people. If growing. You listening would like to be the third, just give me a shout.
Yeah. You can sign up.
And
and send Charlie your PayPal info.
Yeah. It's completely free. I just need $10 to get it started. I find that the Instagram audience is quite deep. It's there, like there's a real engagement there, like, and it's only recently started to happen in the past month, 2 months, kind of the new year, that like people are commenting and people are sending me messages, that there's like a beginning sense of like, oh, like I'm finally getting feedback, or like I'm finally starting a real conversation. Yeah. Whereas I find on Facebook, while the sharing capabilities are huge, everyone's on Facebook, like it is so very real. When people tag or when people, I find that like when a video goes viral and you share it and like it crushes, it's very much in between. It's like you're sharing it to one person and then that one person wants to talk about it with another person, not necessarily with you. And so it's creating these larger conversations on Facebook of trying to like, this video came from me, like, you know, like I made this video, or, you know, like I shared this video.
Yeah, in a sense, Facebook is too social in the sense that there is no engagement with the creator. It's just with your friends, you know, which is the idea of Facebook, but it isn't helpful for us. So I do understand where you're coming from there.
Yeah, but that being said, in starting producing, I've really started to lean heavily in producing original content. And that's been a bit of a game changer in regards to Facebook, because videos can obviously live on Facebook the same way that you can on YouTube. And so being able to like premiere a video and then chat live, like as the video is premiering, and be able to talk with people as they're watching it is the coolest thing. Like, and it's the same sense, you know, it's like, I deeply care about the one person willing to watch, you know, I really, and it goes back to theater, like I dramatically care about the one person, the one audience member that showed up, because like that's the only one that matters.
Yeah.
And I feel that same way about producing videos. Like I'm not after 100K, I'm not after 3 million. Like I want one. I just want that one person to watch the whole thing. You know, I just want that one person to care. And so it's cool to just now, like literally 2 weeks ago, post a video and see some strong engagement there.
Yeah, I mean, going back to that, caring about that one person that follows you. I mean, I can name several people who have been like following and like from the start, but also engaging and being supportive. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you can too. I mean, I recall like in my first few months of posting theatre content, I used to do little live streams with like debates. So I did one debate. Hamilton versus Dear Evan Hansen, and it was really small.
I'm a fan, bro. I watch.
Oh, thank you. I really do appreciate that you remember that. Like that was ages ago, and I haven't done that since because I just got so much work on. But the same people who were contributing to that, including yourself, they are still constantly commenting and engaging, even on Facebook, because as you said, Facebook, it is a lot of just tagging in the comments and then like the occasional maybe theatre quote or something engaging. But I can name 2 people straight away, Megan McIntyre and Charlotte Neon, who I know they'll both be listening to this. Charlotte Neon, if you are listening, I definitely want you on this podcast, because she makes the most incredible costumes from theatre, especially like the Schuyler Sister dress. Like it's amazing. But there's always those few that you will remember.
Yeah.
Because no matter how many followers you have, you always. I'm even sure someone like Logan Paul, who's got like 20 million subscribers on YouTube, must know someone who supports them at first. Like everyone will. And I think that sort of, especially on Instagram, you recognize more names. And I have noticed too, there are a lot more engagements on Instagram, because people don't really tag people on Instagram comments. I don't really do that. It is quite a singular experience on Instagram for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, cracking the like those kind of that viral meme content, that destroys is super challenging. I see it there, and I'll see it occasionally with some posts, but I mean, the bridge of connecting theater to pop culture and finding the right text and copy that really like is a beautiful connection, like is a challenge. It's like
Yeah,
I mean, that's where the skill is. That's where the artistry in making meme content is.
exactly. Because the internet, it's just it's bigger than anyone could have ever thought. And
Yeah,
I doubt that the people who created it ever thought it would end up at this point with meme culture and
yeah,
social media. And I think you you would also know you post mostly a daily. I do too. Well, I try to because I do find it tough
yeah.
posting
No,
daily.
kidding.
How about you?
Oh my God.
What's your
Oh,
thoughts on that?
dude, I am always in a constant state of stress about not posting enough, about not hitting volume. Like, because here's the game. Like, the attention to what we're all kind of going through won't be this way forever. And so the game right now is output. And it's like, if you're, I'm trying to hit 4 posts a day across Facebook and Instagram. And that's obviously the
just
same.
hearing that, I was like, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. Like it
It's
is. Yeah. Well, it's
it's a
not a lot
lot
of
of
work.
work.
It's just.
No, it's a lot. That's like,
Yeah.
honestly. And so I also run the social media for another business. Like, as a small business venture, I've been running the social media for another theater company,
Yeah.
and I'm doing that for them. Like, they're paying me to do that. Except they don't fully understand that. Like, I could post 1 a day there and then be okay with it. But I'm like, to maximize, to be the best it can be, you need to post like 4 bits of relevant, meaningful content that brings value to the people. Like, you're not trying to post nothing, or just hogwash. Like, you're trying to post like actual bit of content that'll make someone laugh, bring them value, educate them in some way.
Yeah.
But honestly, and it's funny you say this. So some of the bigger theater Instagram accounts, because I'm pretty wrapped up in the world. Like, I'm just fascinated by it. And some of these bigger Instagram accounts, I've spoke to a lot of them, and I thought originally, because like it's all quite nameless and faceless. Like, it's all quite, whereas like I'd like to think that you can realize that it's me, like Charlie is
Yeah.
posting on Theatreisdead pretty quick.
Yeah. Because
Whereas a lot of these other,
I have noticed like if you say posts a meme, you'll
yeah,
you'll have a comment above it and then Charlie underneath it. So it makes it seem
yeah,
a lot more personal in that sense, which I actually
yeah,
like. I haven't done that yet, but I think adopting some sort of just like a online signature makes it
yeah,
seem
but
a bit more community like. So I do like that. It's something small, but it does go a long way.
yeah, I think so. And whereas like these other kind of larger accounts, I think, well, at first, it's these accounts with like 20, 30, 100,000 followers. I thought it was going to be some like theater Illuminati situation in which like the upper echelon of Broadway has these like 30 accounts, and they use these accounts to push out. I know it sounds a little nut. This is what I originally thought, that it was going to be like they have these 30 accounts, and they use these accounts to publish the musicals that they want in pop culture,
Mm.
that they want to be they want to be the Tumblr musical of the day. Like, they want it to become Be More Chill. They want it to become Heathers. Like, that's what I thought their engine was. Absolutely not. It is a bunch of high schoolers who work. Like, they
Yeah.
post content daily. And like, in talking with these kids, I'm like, and I knew, and once I realized that, I was like, holy shit, like, I'm being schooled by these high schoolers. Like, they are posting daily, and it really, like, it truly impresses me. And it's because they have so much time. They do just have a lot of time on their hands. Uh, and it'll be, and I was talking to somebody recently, and I was saying, like, because they were in conversation about having a podcast, and like kind of going that route.
Yeah.
And I was saying to them, like, it's a really good idea to do it, because eventually all these offers and opportunities that you're being offered because you have these popular Instagram accounts will go away once Instagram isn't Instagram anymore. And so you need to kind of expand the reach if you want this to become something. And it felt like it was fall. It wasn't, that point wasn't quite listened to. And so I don't know. It's just, I'm obsessed with where theater is in pop culture, and how the drama kids and the thespians of our day are like meeting theater. And I think most of the time now it's like on Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr, you know?
Yeah, it is. Tumblr especially. Like, Tumblr, I'm not on a Tumblr, but just from the sound of it, it's just a very intense, passionate community about so many topics, and theatre being one of them. I hear like a lot of fan arts on there and stuff like that. But
that's where the bootleg trade is.
Yeah, bootleg. You've literally just jumped ahead because I was talking to Amber about bootlegs, and because with her Facebook group, they banned discussion about bootlegs because it just becomes this massive debate, and it is a very, very controversial debate. Before I ask you, because I know your opinion on it, my opinion on it is I tend not to watch bootlegs, but I have Hamilton clips from just uploads from the professional recording that I found on YouTube and the PBS documentary, because they had multiple clips on there, and I've happily posted them on my page. A few have gotten copyright strike, but I'm happy to keep on posting them because I get so many comments from just people saying thank you so much. I live in Scandinavia. We have no theatre. I have no way of seeing Hamilton. So that's the only way of seeing just a taste of it. So now I'm gonna ask you the big question, which I know you are very firm on. What is your thought on bootlegs?
I'm officially on the record. I feel, you know, like I whereas like I think in the past I've been very pro bootlegs.
Yes.
But here, let me go as someone on the record right now. I've become more neutral about it.
Really? Wow.
I have, in the sense that like I understand, and I posted this in a meme the other day. I was like, I understand that artists don't want the $1 version of their show, that they have not worked the past like 10 years to produce something that you shoot on your iPhone 5C in like low light, and it's just not how that show is meant to be understood. Flip side of that, and this is where I lean a little more towards it, like, oh my God, just produce do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Like, just fucking do it. It makes me so mad when I really like get worked up about it, because like you want to sell tickets to your show, and I promise you, if your show is released online, more people will come see it. Like, it's the need to see theater and the need to see productions are so real, so vivid, and there's just a desperate need for theater lovers and art lovers truly across the world,
definitely,
to have faster and more accessible content. And it's a shame, like, it's not even a shame, it's just that the Broadway shows of our day are missing a intense opportunity because they're playing by old rules in which they would get a movie deal, you would shoot the movie, and then you would push out the thing, like, and then you would distribute it across cinemas. Like, now you can hire a company, shoot it, and put it on your Facebook page.
Yeah. And
everyone can see it. You know, the distribution model has changed so intensely that I'm really surprised. And there's a lot of stuff, you know, because like theaters especially is so old world that it makes sense that there are rules and things in place to not allow that to happen. There's so much to figure out. But we need to jump on it. Because like, here's my thing, like, the bootlegs are being produced anyway. Like,
nothing can stop them.
Yeah, like, I understand, like, Patti LuPone's gonna scream at you if your phone's out, but that person is still gonna pull their phone out. Like, and I'm the opposite of when I go see a show. Like, I'm off my phone. Like, that's my vacation. Like, I want to go there and consume it. Like, I want to feel the energy in that room, but I can't help but think of just the massive opportunity that's missed. Like if I was doing a show, and I'm trying to think of like Beetlejuice is a good example. Beetlejuice coming to Broadway. Woo! I'm not crazy about Beetlejuice. Like I don't know the production team. I don't know a lot about that show. But if I was marketing that show, I would record a version of it. Like I would do it pretty down low, and I'd do it pretty bootstrap. Like think I would do the YouTube version of it, like Casey Neistat, that world. Like DSLR, it's not super fancy. And I would give it to these Instagram accounts and these Tumblr musical and these Tumblr accounts. And I would illegally give it to them for accounts like mine and accounts like yours and accounts like everyone else to post, because it's just going to do nothing but wonders for the show.
Yeah.
That being said, you got to respect how the work gets made. It's a fiery topic for me. It's definitely triggering.
It is. And I know some people who are very against bootlegs, and you've just given me a very good idea from maybe a future episode where we could do a debate on bootlegs. So keep your diary open, because 100%. I think that's it's such an interesting debate, and I think it's not talked about a lot in theatre, because I think if someone mentions bootlegs, most people are just like, no, definitely not. But most people, they after, because I used to live in Australia, and it was a while back, but they had one theatre in Melbourne. It's most likely changed now, but they had one theatre in Melbourne, but nobody, like, theatre is not a big scene there at all.
Right.
And on my demographics on my Facebook page, Australia is my third highest demographic. So there's so many people who enjoy theatre in somewhere like Australia, but you know, there isn't, because the UK has the West End, America has a Broadway. What does Australia have? Exactly. So
the Sydney Opera House.
The Sydney Opera House, like you can't. So there's a real. So I think the answer is to stopping bootlegs, make theatre more accessible.
Yeah,
affordable
it's
tickets.
To make your own.
Yeah, make your own theatre, exactly.
Yeah.
Or
but
just
it is
free Hamilton tickets.
Yeah, that's
a tweet to Lin-Manuel. Give us free Hamilton tickets. I mean, Dear Evan Hansen is coming to the West End in October this year.
I'm so rumor excited. Has you have tickets?
Well, I signed up for the early access tickets, and I actually got them. So they go on sale tomorrow at noon. So I'm gonna have
big day.
So I'm gonna have two laptops, my brother's phone, my phone, just ready to go. Just trying to get in and get those tickets, because I'm dying to see Evan Hansen. I saw Heathers last year in London, and I was blown away by that. But Evan Hansen it's so moving and meaningful, and I've read the book too. That's just superb. So I'm dying to see it.
Missing Ben Platt in that show is definitely a regret. But that's kind of like that's kind of story of my life. I definitely don't see Broadway shows.
I was going to ask, what's the last show that you've seen?
That's a great question. The last play I've seen was a friend of mine. Who's a writer. I've been in several of his plays, and he produced one just down the street. And like, if I'm involved with any scene, it's the young upstarts. It's the young people who are producing kind of original work now. But in terms of Broadway, I'm trying to think what the last the last Broadway show I saw was SpongeBob.
So how was that? Because
dude, it was so good.
I've heard so many people saying, "Oh, it's terrible," but then I saw the Tony performance.
Are fucking wrong,
I saw the Tony performance. I thought it was brilliant.
Man.
I saw that Squidward song, and I was like, "Oh my god." I never thought that would work. It works. It genuinely works.
Loser, dude. I am a loser. Honestly, that show was...
Is that still going? Or has it ended?
It's not. It did close, unfortunately. Sorry, I just had to press a button.
That's all right.
Yeah, it is. It did close, unfortunately. But there's larger questions of how like Broadway shows are made, and like their intent of why they're made. But, that show was always destined for kind of a limited run. It was directed by a woman called Tina Landau. And she made a book called The Viewpoints, or her and Anne Bogart made a acting philosophy or performance philosophy called the Viewpoints Collective, or it's called Viewpoints. If you Google it, you'll find it.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful way of producing work. If you're a performer and you're an artist, like and find someone who really understands it and learn a little bit about that, because it'll give you a new kind of performance vocabulary. But I love this woman, and so to see her work on Broadway, like, she is, at her heart, she is. I don't know her personally, but she is off Broadway. You know, she is avant-garde theater. She comes from this place of theater as a form that people can learn and communicate things that they keep hidden. And so to see her, when I saw Tina Landau's directing SpongeBob, I was like, what is this avant-garde artist doing, directing a commercial product? And it ended up just being this beautiful piece. After the first act, I saw it with my best friend, and after the first act, I bravoed. I screamed bravo to the point where everyone could, everyone's hearing me at that point. But I was just so, as you can tell, like, I get stoked, like, and to see like that kind of, especially in that time period, it was very in the midst of the, it was the post-election at that point. Donald Trump is the president. Like, everyone is sad, and the world needed something bright and colorful, and like, it may be the end of the world, but we can make it the best day ever,
Yeah.
And so I do. Will I see it like again? Probably, likely not. But would I watch a produced version of it, like a video version of it? Yeah, sure, absolutely.
I love it when someone says, "Oh yeah, they're making a SpongeBob musical," and everyone goes, "That will never work," and then it does work. I think that's such a good moment when someone has an idea that no one else sees, and then it works and it's successful. Because I was watching the Tonys. I tried to live stream it on my page because no one else could actually watch it, and then
you get busted too.
Yeah, I got flagged. CBS have taken you down. Like, I was so irritated. I thought I was getting away with it too, but no, CBS had taken me down, and I was like, oh crap! I was like, oh shit! They're gonna take down the page. They're gonna copyright strike. They didn't, but
knock on your door.
I panicked. I was like, oh shit! What are they gonna do? But it was fine. And I watched that Squidward performance, and I was like, that is so... It's just... I don't know. It was something really classic and... I don't know, really...
Yeah.
I don't know, classic theatre about it. I just loved it. It made me smile. And I never really watched SpongeBob much as a kid. Like, I saw the films and stuff like that. I was never a massive fan, but... it's something... I mean, we are going to go back to Hamilton again. I do like more musicals, listeners. I have to say, I like a lot of musicals, but Hamilton is my favourite. If someone said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to write a show about the Revolutionary War," yeah, exactly. That would never, or the French Revolution. Yeah, I'm just going to write a show about the French Revolution. Yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah, like, that'll work. Yeah. That's now like Les Mis is the most successful show of all time. So it goes to show. I mean, some shows are obvious. I think Mean Girls, I really enjoy it, and then I think when I heard that a Mean Girls show was coming out, I instantly said, yeah, that'll work. That'll definitely work. So it's, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, on producing or on kind of creating musical or creating works of product by seemingly like dull ideas or seemingly complicated ideas.
Yeah, I mean, because I think Dear Evan Hansen is an original play, and I think even some elements and themes such as suicide are quite dark for a show. But I think when you get the correct writer and you follow your process, or you find your process, something really magical can be created. I mean, Heathers, I never even heard of the film before. I heard of I heard of the show first, but I haven't seen the film yet. But the show is brilliant.
Yeah, I think it's definitely about obviously trusting your process, and not being afraid to risk. I say that a lot too. Like, don't be afraid to take risks and fail and then risk again. It's like, and trust why you're telling that story. Like, or it's like, you're not going to make Les Mis. Like, you don't set out to make Les Mis. You set out to tell a story. And so figuring out the why of a story and figuring out, you could literally write anything. But you're only gonna, you gotta, I believe, like, you have to put it in front of people. You have to literally show people, to figure out if your idea is any good. Like, it doesn't do you anything to keep it locked away in a notebook. No. It's only by, like, showing your friends, only by showing the people in your life what you're working on, will you find your voice? Will you find the right story?
You will be found.
Yeah, very much so. And that is how they wrote that.
Yeah, I think that's inspirational as hell. I mean, back to your social medias and Facebook pages. So yeah. You said how you work in social media, but with Theatreisdead, what's your favorite type of post to make? Is it, say, like a meme photo or like a video, or so? What's your, like, goal for your page in the future? Is it focused on meme culture, or is it vlogging? What's your main goal of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So my goal with Theatreisdead, which will, I think, eventually evolve. Here's the perfect world: is that we create an online community in which people care about the kind of work that Theatreisdead creates, and as a result, we'll be this online theater production company, similar to I would compare it to that of, like, a Star Kid. I don't know if you're familiar with Star Kid.
No, I'm not.
They're a theater troupe out in Michigan who, I'll come back to that. It's so, like, the goal for Theatreisdead specifically is to become an online theater production company where we're able to generate videos and production quality that brings in a digital income, meaning that it's a business that's able to survive off AdSense, brand partnership, and products. And then on the back of that, we've built a community that loves and cares about theater, and we're able to tour certain places based on the demographics of our page, and produce work for those people. It's like in 5 years from now, the perfect world is Theatreisdead is an active theater company that is producing original work for the people that have, like, been there since day one, and then we'll take the Tony.
Like a collaborative. I think that's an amazing idea. Like, yeah, I can see that genuinely happening. I genuinely do.
It starts with the vlogs. Like, that's what the vlogs are ultimately about. Yeah. They're like, right now it's me running from, like, job to job.
Yeah.
Like, trying to make rent.
We're following your process. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I honestly, like, I am subscribed to you. I find them really because I think even in your vlogs, you're quite insecure about there not being enough interesting content in there. I disagree. I think it's not every single vlog has to be a slime prank on someone's half-naked girlfriend for the thumbnail. It doesn't have to be that. I think, guys, honestly, subscribe to Charlie Munn on YouTube.
It'd mean the world.
Genuinely, it's because I think it's so fascinating. Also, I can't name many other places where it's better to vlog than in New York City. I think
that's true.
I mean, Casey Neistat is the OG sort of vlogger, and you were in, like, briefly in one of his vlogs, weren't you, at some point?
Oh, dude.
Just
that's definitely that's some in-depth research you've done there.
No, that was off your story too. Honestly, I am a fan. I remember this stuff.
It was like, again, it's just like being in the social media world. Like, I'm online all the time, and so I think he posted. It was back when he was doing daily vlogs, and he posted the day before that his wife was Candace, who runs a jewelry company, was doing a pop-up event, and that if, like, you were interested in some jewelry, come see us. And I was like, that's down the street, like truly down the street to where I live. And so like on a beautiful summer day, like Yulia, my partner, and I, we were just like, well, we're not doing much. Let's go for a walk. And she has
Wow.
no, like, she knows I obviously am quite involved with the world, but she doesn't know how big of a fan I am. And so we're like just going for a walk. And I was very blasé about it. Like I was just like, maybe he'll be there, maybe he won't. Like I just want to go, like, and see, have a good day. We walk by and there's just like 100 people, like 100 kids aged from like 12 to 16, all outside of this tiny store. And I'm like, well, this is definitely where it is. And I was like, oh my God, this is insane. And he hadn't showed up yet. And as I'm walking up, I just look behind me and it's fucking Casey Neistat with holding a camera on the vlog. And I'm like, oh my. And I occasionally do, like, because I work at a popular restaurant, and so I do get a fair amount of run-ins with popular people. But man, meeting Casey Neistat was like, or meeting, I use in quotes, like just seeing him in IRL, I was just like, oh my God, like I'm starstruck. Like this is what starstruck is. And on my personal Instagram, there's like I cut the clip of the vlog that I'm in, and it's like him going up to the store, and then it like pans to the group, and I just walked up, so I was at the front accidentally, and he just pans, and it's like me and Yulia, and it's only for like a half a
I
second.
remember
But the
seeing it.
look on my face, I'm like truly at my happiest. Like I look like I've just won because I'm just like, this is my dude right here.
Like
Like
I'm smiling because of it. Like literally, I admire Casey Neistat. I mean, he has done some controversial stuff with certain maybe political videos, but I honestly, I think he's such a, yeah. I would feel the same. Like
yeah, he's my dude for sure.
yeah, definitely. So I think vlogging in New York for you is just the perfect place, especially if it's about theatre and Broadway.
Yeah,
Like you are in
yeah,
the perfect place, and it will definitely go places, But I think
thanks, man. I appreciate
YouTube
that.
is much tougher to get a hold of. I think because Facebook and Instagram, they have all these sharing and tagging features. Facebook doesn't. I mean, Facebook tried to. YouTube is trying to add this social element with messages, but no one really uses them. So, but
Yeah.
I think that's where a cross promotion on different platforms comes in really helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have started. Like, I now cut clips from the vlogs and put them onto the Instagram, and it's worked more, in so many ways. And it's like what we said earlier. It's like the one person that really cares about it and like is interested in what it takes to make theater in New York City. Like, if that tagline entices them, uh, they will click through and they will sub. And
Yeah,
again, I'm like interested in building a drama club. Like I'm interested in like a bunch of like 10,000 freaks all hanging out.
definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump back to theatre now.
Yeah.
Different question. Are there any types of theatre that you don't like, musical or play?
Oh,
Is
interesting.
it, or is there a show that you've seen that hasn't really like struck you like SpongeBob or Hamilton did?
Um, Honestly, I will say I am the best person to have in your audience. Like I don't walk in with any like I found a lot of cynicism I find a lot of cynicism in kind of the world in the theater world.
Hmm.
But like, boy, I think I'm just impressed by the fact that like you showed up, like you guys learned your lines, good for you. Like there's like 60 people here, that's great for us. Like I'm really easily a, a a cheerleader of theater. Uh, that being said, like I don't like mean things, like I don't like I just don't like bad. I don't like when time feels like it's being wasted, and I
Hmm.
don't like uh when people have or like when the creators of it are like snooty and they think that their piece is gold when
Yeah,
they're not listening to their audience, like when they're not listening to how their piece is being received. uh it's when creators have like earmuffs on and sunglasses on and they can't hear or see how their piece is landing to an audience's ear. And like, it makes me just like lose faith in them as creators. Those are the kind of pieces I don't like.
I like that idea because I think it's so, because I think everyone will meet someone like that who thinks that anything that they've made is gold dust, and they needs a reality check, or just, you know, a bit more modesty, a bit like it's kind of comedic in a sense. I mean, do you watch Friends?
I do, yeah, big Friends.
It's a bit I don't know which season, but like at some point where Joey is in a play and he's in love with the wife of the director, and that director is just so pretentious, and so just he just thinks that he is the new Shakespeare.
Right,
and he's just like, you do not understand this play. You're not acting correctly in my creation. He has no clue. So I think we'll all meet someone like that, and I think all of us might end up like that at some point unintentionally.
Yeah.
You know, I think.
Yeah, no, I think
because everyone needs confidence, but not too much. Not too much confidence. You know, so.
Yeah.
I mean, have you got any other future projects brewing up, social or not, or otherwise?
Yeah, I have a few things in the works. I'm trying to think what is worth talking about in the sense that people can like. Well, I mean, honestly, the blog is definitely I'm doing weekly videos on YouTube, and that's taking up a lot of time and a lot of energy, which I'm excited about.
You need YouTuber merch. That's what you need. YouTuber merch.
I'm definitely trying to get to that merch point, but I want to earn that. You know, when I make that ask, I want to earn that.
Yeah, I mean, I attempted it last year. I was at 20,000 followers, and I thought I'll just some like a Theatre Geek hoodie, and I put it on there, and it got likes and shares, but no one bought it, and I was like, okay, I'm not there yet. So then I took it off and I stopped it, and I was like, I need to know. So that is a different point of when someone wants to invest in your
that's
brand.
Like just for me, that's like almost a whole, like, I don't want to make a shirt, you know, that says Theatreisdead on it, but like, do I want a varsity jacket that says like drama club, like class of 2019, and there's 100 of them, and like like if you're buying it, in my mind, I just want the person buying it to know, because they know me, they've seen the blogs, like they know who I am as a dude, like they know that they're kind of like investing in me. It's this mutual, like, I'm gonna create something that's beautiful for you. There will only be 100 of them, and like in return, like if you found value in the things that I've made over the past like 4 years or whatever, hopefully there's like, maybe they want, you know, maybe it's time, you know, there's like a beneficial relationship. But in terms of things that I'm working on, I actually have one here. I'm building, only because I thought it was a really cool idea. They're called mystery play packs, or mystery playbill packs. And so it's essentially just a pack of 3 playbills, one unknown, one historic, and one rare playbill.
Yeah.
And I think I'm gonna just give them away I've made 13, and so I'm just gonna give 13 away through giveaways on the Instagram. And the idea is that like people obviously like collecting playbills is definitely a thing, but like perhaps like people want a playbill from like Chorus Line, and a playbill from like Waitress, and a playbill from like something they've never heard of, like back in the 40s.
Yeah.
And so I'm working on that, which I think will be interesting. I'm just curious to know how people are going to react, and I'm interested in like learning how to
that will definitely
tell
work.
somebody.
That'll definitely work. A giveaways.
You're like, I'll buy 3.
Yeah, like literally, giveaways are a very good technique to gain more following, get more engagement, because both parties win. You know, your page gets a few more following, and someone gets something physical that they win. You know, so. But yeah, I think even playbills, wow, like, you know, I might enter. I'll buy them all, please. I'll take all 13.
Yeah.
But
and then aside from, the only other thing that I'm working on is an audio play, which I'm actually pretty stoked about. It's a play I produced a year ago, almost 2 years ago now, and I'm going to produce an audio version of it. And that'll get released through Theatreisdead, but that's going to take some time.
What play is it? Can you tell me, like, what's the story of it?
Yeah, of course. It's a play called By Morning. For anyone very, very interested, you can actually go on my YouTube, and there's about 6 videos that live there that were uploaded quite some time ago that are very artistic and don't do an amazing job at telling the story of the play, but very much the vibe and tone. By Morning is a play about 3 brothers who essentially on the day of their parents' funeral go through a grieving process with each other and try and understand the night of what has happened to their family. And it's kind of, there's some laughs in there, but it's definitely like a family in grief. And so hopefully with the audio version of this play, we'll be able to access this like intimacy that we weren't able to do in the live, in the theater IRL production of it. And yeah, and so I'm stoked about that, thrilled about that, and yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
You mentioned at the start, you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but you mentioned how you got fired from a certain job, and how that led to certain more doors opening. So if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, I'd actually really love to talk about it. So one of my favorite things to talk about in general as a person is like risking and failing, like falling in love with your failures and then risking again, and that was really put into practice. So right after, when I graduated college in 2015, I was really confused. I was kind of shown the acting business at that point. I was very much just an actor. Like that's what I was in my head. And I was being kind of shown what it took to be an actor in New York City, which to me involved I was being shown what it takes as an actor, which is truly running your own business. It's buying headshots. It's paying to meet certain people through pay to play auditions and things of that nature. And I was just like, oh, this isn't what I signed up for. Yeah. Like I want to make plays. Like I just want to be an actor. I want to meet audiences. And so I was really frustrated by that. I was also like, I had to make money. I had to make rent. I had to hustle in New York, because right after, especially if you go to school in New York, everyone kind of asks if you're going to stay. And there was no doubt in my head. Like, no, I was going to stay. And so I was willing to do whatever it took. And I obviously worked a bunch of different jobs. I've worked 101 jobs. But something came across my board that was social. It was essentially social media associate and like that was the headline for the position. And it was essentially like, we're a small social media company that run the social media for, at that point, it was like Hamilton and a few other shows. And at that point, Hamilton was not something that everyone was talking about. Hamilton was this popular musical in New York City that was transferring from off-Broadway to Broadway, and the cast album hadn't been out yet. So nobody knew what it even sounded like. But I had definitely heard whispers of it, and I was like, oh, this could be huge.
Just you wait.
Yeah, seriously. And so I went in for an interview with Mike, who still runs Marathon Digital. And it's funny, I haven't really told this story in a while. I remember like going in for the interview and like us having like a real conversation and me being very transparent and being like, I don't know, like I didn't know the things that I know now. Like I didn't know what copy was in a post, how to distribute content, like tactics to distributing content, and what it means to truly create content online. I was just like somebody who used Facebook and Instagram. But what Mike saw in me was hunger. He saw hustle. He saw like somebody who was willing to sweat for him. And so he took a risk, like, and he said this, like, he was like, Charlie, it's like, I don't think you are the most qualified candidate. And I was like, oh. And
Great.
Yeah. And he was like, but I think you can learn all the things that I've learned over the past 2-3 years. Super young dude. And he's like, so you're hired. And this was Mike's, I think technically his second employee at the time. And so his company was growing, like it was expanding very fast, and the workload was getting more and more. So like he was building a company up while also figuring out the internal structure of it. And it was challenging for both of us, for him to learn how to teach me things while the company was expanding at such a rate.
Yeah.
Like there were, so I was on his team for about 3 months. And I remember like every day got worse from the first day in terms of anxiety and stress, because every day I would be like, I am not good enough. Like I do not have the skills. I'm in over my weight, which like that area of uncomfortableness is good, but it was happening day. I felt like I was getting no small wins. Like every day was just being like, you are fucking up. Like you are not doing well. Like you are bad at your job. And it was crazy to be, and at that point, the cast album was out, Tony nominations had happened, like the musical was becoming what it is now. It was like it went from zero when I got hired, not zero, but like in terms of pop culture zeitgeist, it went from zero to just
beyond
breaking the fucking barrier of what people think, how popular a musical can be. And there I was, like literally in the center of it all, like in the eye of the hurricane. Like, except for me, it was not fucking quiet. It was loud and scary, and like I did not feel a sense of calm. But I was watching these people making history and feeling like an absolute fraud, like feeling like I shouldn't be here. Like I'm not equipped for this. Like I'm not ready for this. And as a result, Mike and I, like to say I was fired is like the tagline version of it. When truth, like I was unhappy, like I was unwell, like I wasn't sleeping, and Mike's company was suffering when he was flourishing. He was doing really, like he needed proper people to properly execute on the opportunities he was creating for his business. Whereas I was like having these internal debates of like, am I still an actor? Like, am I still a performer? Like I needed to work for him. And instead I wasn't there yet. Like as a person, I was still performative. And I had a bunch of things going on in my personal life that like distracted me. And so from that, like I was essentially fired from the greatest musical of the past 100 years, or the most popular musical of the past 100 years. And it took me a long time to learn from that. It's like, be like, well, then what does it mean for me if I'm not Hamilton material in a way? Like, what does it mean for me as a creator and maker of things? And it took me a long time to like not feel sorry for myself. Instead, like I eventually, only about a year after that, I'd say, did I start to be like, oh, like how insane was that opportunity? Like how insane was that time? And that's when I started to digest everything. Like, oh, like these ambitions and feelings that I had at the time were so right. I just wasn't in an environment that supported me, like that could supply the things that I needed. Yeah. And so I had to learn and move and change. And it was just it really was such a crazy opportunity to have such a small moment within that show. And like something I really, like Hamilton means something different to me, like it represents something different to me. And I'm so thankful now to have that time, because the things that I'll build and the things that I'll create won't be on the back of that name. It'll be on the back of the things that I care about. That being said, like I'm making Hamilton memes all the time, so yeah. It's a little give and take. But yeah, it was a weird experience for sure.
I think that's such a an incredible story, but I think something that is an inspiration to maybe those who recently got fired or recently failed at something. But there's always, life always finds a way. And I think questioning if
It's
you're
like,
Hamilton
yeah,
worthy or not, I think that's quite difficult. I think facing something like that, but
for sure. And but it's great. It's so good because it's like, so what?
yeah,
Like, what am I gonna do? Like, not be in theater anymore? Like, not do the thing that I love? Like, absolutely not. Like, it really was this like, so you've been kicked, like you fell, like you tripped, like so what? And it's like that. It's like it just, and it'll happen. A version of it will happen again. And the key is just to be like, oh yeah, I've been punched in the face like this before. Like I know what this feels like.
but
And
it'll lead to something better. That's something that you make or something you do. Not off the back,
100 fucking
as you
percent.
said, of Hamilton. So
And like I can't wait. Like Mike Carnes and I are still friendly. Like we still talk, and those relationships and the things like the people that I did meet, like there's a talking point there, like I don't know, it's cool. It'll be really interesting to watch how those relationships I made come back, because like it's 100% worse in my head than it was
oh yeah.
aloud. Like it's definitely, I'm the one dramatizing it. And yeah, I'm so through. Can't wait in 5-10 years to see how that part of my life plays out.
It does take a certain pushback or knockdown to get you more excited for something else. I think.
Yeah, which is like 100%.
Yeah, but I think if you say that so if there's someone listening now who isn't feeling that, that's because you aren't there yet. I think something will happen that'll inspire you. Then you'll be excited because I can't. Well, like also I think a lot of people put so much pressure on themselves when we're all so young. I think everyone puts
100%.
so much pressure on us. Like I'm 20, I've have before, even when I was 16, put so much pressure on myself that I have to get this done and this done when there's so much time, to find something. I can't wait.
I mean that's absolutely right.
I can't wait. I mean, my hope is to move to New York, but so is millions of other people of young people. But I genuinely want to live there because. I mean, what's it like for you living there?
I mean, I love it. I'm very much a romantic about living here.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I just want to get there. I mean,
Yeah,
I live in a small town. Like
right.
I'm surrounded by farms and fields, so it is that kind of a cliche move from a small town into a big city.
100%. I mean, I think there's a certain, like, I to put it in, there's a certain heartbreak with the city. There's a certain like love and hate relationship. One, like I love people, so being able to see people everywhere, being able to like interact everywhere, the endless opportunities, like all of that is so real. And if you're like a positive person, uh, New York can be quite hard because like you're actually surrounded by a lot of negative. It's just not even negative emotion; it's like chaos, and so
Oh yeah,
that can be pretty intense. Uh, but I honestly, there's a real financial hardship to living in this city that is so real that not enough people talk about the challenge of living a successful life here, And I definitely wasn't prepared for it. Uh, thank God, I was, especially in the beginning, like I had my dad was willing to like put me on, he was willing to believe in me enough that he would help me essentially help me financially to support that ambition, because
yeah.
not we all know like not everyone, and that's what breaks my heart. Like I was thinking about it today. It's my dad's birthday today, actually.
Oh,
And
happy birthday to him.
happy birthday, John. Happy birthday, Johnny. That like think my life would be so dramatically different if I wasn't surrounded by supportive people. And I'm like blessed as a fucking human to like have people in my life who support me, not financially. I mean emotionally. Like texts from friends saying like, "Hey man, I love your vlog. Keep going. Like, that means the world.
Yeah.
And especially in a city like New York, it can be quite hard to like stay focused like that. And there's just to bring it back, there's a bit of a financial burden that I don't think a lot of people put into account when they live here. And the truth is, like, that's what will eat you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm at a time in my life right now. I'm 26, and I work at a restaurant here, but I love where I work. Like, I've worked a lot of shitty service jobs here. Like, I've done the waiting tables gig, and this is the best job I've ever had. So it's dining at its highest level.
What do you do at the restaurant?
I'm a maitre d' there. So I run the guest book and get people seated and kind of build relationships with guests. And I love what I do. Like, it's stressful and intense, but it's fun. And it's enough to pay for my life here. And it gives me enough time to be home by, 2:00 every day to build. And then I work 5 hours, 6 hours on building Theatreisdead and building the social companies or the media companies that I work with. It's like, you have to fucking love it. Like, it's almost like, and how I always thought about it personally when I was deciding to move here was there was no other option. Like, nothing else seemed like an option. Like, I just didn't calculate it. Like, in my head, like, there was no other thing for me.
Yeah.
And if there was, I probably would have done it. Like, it really was it was my way out. I saw it as my way out.
I'm literally feeling the same way right now. I mean, I still have one more year of university to do, but then after that, I see no other way. I don't see anything else but New York City. And I think some people who are more level-headed, because I'm if I think of something, I do it. I just jump on it. I think more level-headed people, I would say, well, think about it. There's visas and all this moving and living costs, but I think that's what I want to do. And I think if at some points you have to just jump,
100%,
go for it. So
100%. And if nobody's going to convince you otherwise, like, do it. And like now, and for a long time, it's less in these days, but like, I'd go back home to Florida and I'd see all my friends and I'd see like my parents' friends. And it's so weird how to your hometown, like New York it's almost like you've accomplished something simply by moving somewhere. Like, you get a bit of credit, it's like, oh, Charlie's in New York, when like the truth is, like, I was eating chicken and rice on the street the other day because like I can't afford anything else, that was a few years ago, but still, like, that's what it was. Like, I was living in, again, this a few years ago, like living in a mouse infested apartment, like an infestation. But when I went home, it was like congratulations, which is like insane, it's like, and so you definitely need that drive, but also a ton of perspective on like the life you're actually leading.
Yeah. I mean, I see myself, I've got this all ahead of me. I can see it, like,
100%,
I've got it ahead of me. Definitely. But thank you so much for doing this podcast. I think you're such an inspirational person. And
thanks, man.
Quite a motivational speaker. Like, you really are very like because I'm still quite nervous about, and I still got some time about thinking about making certain choices like moving to New York. But I think what you said is that's kind of boosted me on. I was like, yeah, it can happen because you made the choice without thinking about anything else, and that was your focus. So yeah. Right.
No, I appreciate it. And thank you for, honestly, thank you for having me on. It does actually mean a lot, because I feel like when you start creating content, you want to be this person that speaks about theater and builds an audience around theater. Like, you think, oh, like people will reach out to me and we'll do conversations. We'll have, we'll create content, we'll collab, we'll do all these things. Yeah. And so it's like for that a year and a half later to manifest into this podcast, I'm stoked about it.
Well, so thank you. do you want to make like a closing statement to anybody listening? Any words that you want to say?
Yeah, I would love to. Again, my name's Charlie. I run Theatreisdead, which is a theater brand that celebrates theater and builds a community around it on the internet. If you are interested in talking about theater, performance, kind of learning about being better, about having a little self-confidence and kind of the mental thinking that you need, follow me on Instagram, follow me on YouTube. It would mean the world. To me, yeah, join the club. That's all I got. Thank you for having me on.
I'm so happy that you're on here, and I would definitely want you back for a future episode because I think
100%.
We have such a good conversation, even with some technical hitches. But
part of the game.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Charlie, for being on. And you can follow Offline Broadway on all the social media stuff at Offline Broadway, and follow Geek Chat on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook with the username It's Geek Chat because Geek Chat was taken. And damn, I know.
Don't worry, I'm Theater ER on Facebook, but we won't talk about that.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, I didn't notice that.
No, you'd only get it if you gotta pay real attention.
Real attention. I'm
in conversation.
Yeah. Well,
my lawyers are on it.
Well,
I don't
thank
have
you
any
so
lawyers.
much, Charlie. I'll definitely want you back on, and there might be that bootleg debate. I might brew up an idea because I think that's a big debate that you got some very interesting thoughts on. So thank you so much, and thank you so much to everyone listening. I'll see you on the next episode of Offline Broadway. Bye.
Bye, everyone.